Welcome to the series of videos for the raptorIncident software package. In this video, we will give a quick overview of the features of the system. In order to log into the system, from the raptorIncident home page, simply go to the Log On ribbon in the upper right-hand corner, click it, and log yourself in using your credentials. By clicking Login, the system will then check your credentials and log you in. The dashboard is the first screen a user sees after logging into the system and is a nexus of information regarding your software. It is made up of panels containing either composite reports, charts, columnar reports, navigation screens, workflow, or your main calendar. One powerful feature of the dashboard is that it is fully customizable on a user-by-user basis. The first panel we'll take a look at is the calendar. The calendar allows you to see visually actions, important dates, functions, meetings, tasks, or phone calls that you have. You can hover over one and click on it, and the Note Manager panel will appear with the details of the particular phone call. Likewise, you can just go back to the calendar and select different months or years. You also have the ability to take a look at weekly view or daily view. Also on the dashboard, you can take a look at composite reports, in this case the incident index. Other panels include the workflow panel, where you can see the latest injuries, near misses, etc. The quick reports, where you can select reports to execute. We have the incident overview chart, which allows you to quickly and easily select several different fields to graph, for instance body part. And finally the navigation panel, which allows you to jump between the various screens that comprise the software. Likewise, on the sidebar, this is mimicked as well. It should be noted that every user can decide which panels they would like to see on the main dashboard. Likewise, any report that they run can be placed on the dashboard as well. Now let's look at our first screen, the incident screen. The incident screen allows you to track all the information regarding any incident. It can include injuries, near misses, illnesses, security, property damage, fire, motor vehicle, or witness. In this case, it's a variable panel, which means if you were to select, say, witnesses, you would see the panel for that information appear, or deselect it and it goes away. That way you're not overwhelmed with panels of information that are not relevant to the particular incident. Let's take a look at what's available for an injury. We can come to the injury panel, and you can see you have descriptions, the employees involved, it can be more than one, details of the incident, any treatment that was required, an investigation that followed up, lost and restricted time, cost and claims, and comments. Additionally, there's the notebook where you can attach any notes that are relevant to this particular incident. You'll notice at the top of the screen we have the navigation bar. This allows you to save a record, add a new one, delete one, navigate through the records, first, next, last, etc. You can also select reports and apply a filter here. Additionally, you'll notice on the right-hand side we have the master list flyout. From here you can easily see all of the incidents in the system. Additionally, you can sort on columns or filter them. In this case, we'll just look at Los Angeles. An additional feature is that you can add or remove columns from the master list on a user-by-user basis so that you can customize the look for each user. Now let's go look at employees. The employee screen tracks the information for each employee in the company. We have the personal panel, the company panel, emergency contact, the notebook, and finally the incident panel, which gives you a list of all the incidents that this particular employee has been involved with. Now let's look at the notebook. On the notebook screen, you can see a variety of information, including actions, checklists, phone calls, meetings, seminars, notes, attachments, phone calls, pictures, or tasks, all of which can be associated with incidents or employees. It's all done through one system, the beauty of which is it's completely searchable using the filter. By opening the master list hover, you can see all the notes at a glance. Let's click on one. In this case, we have a phone call associated with an employee, and simply by hovering over it, you can see the detailed information for that employee. Using the notebook, you can see all the information attached to your employees and incidents. Now let's look at corporate information. From the corporate screen, you can easily set up your corporation structure from a divisional, regional, and facility basis. Likewise, you can see in the panels that you can see all the incidents that this particular facility has had. You can set up OSHA reporting parameters, and you can set up your divisions and regional information. Moving on, let's take a look at the reference system. The reference screen can be accessed in a couple ways. One, which we just showed, is from the side panel. The other is from one of the screens with a drop-down. Let's pull up an incident, for instance. In the injury panel, under Details, you'll notice several drop-downs, all of which have the field title in a different color. For instance, injury type. We see that there are several here in the list. If you want to add or delete options to this drop-down, simply highlight the injury type field, click it, and we'll be brought to the references. Now notice in the reference screen you can click on individual items, and you'll see incidents that have that particular injury type. Again, by highlighting into the table, you can click it, and you'll be brought to that incident. So just like that, you can investigate the various injury types. Going back to the references, one thing of note is that you can add or delete simply by selecting Add or Delete up here to any of the injury types. There are many references in the system, as you can see from the various menus here, all of which are fully customizable by the user. Now let's look at the reporting system. There are 5 kinds of reports in the system: forms-based, columnar-based, charts, gauges, and composites. We'll take a look at an example of each of these. To start with, let's take a look at a forms-based. For instance, an OSHA 300 log. Just by selecting, you can instantly get the report. While looking at the report, you always have the option of filtering by selecting the filter. You also have the options of printing it out or emailing it as a PDF. There's also the ability to add it to your favorite menu or to add it to the main dashboard that we saw earlier in the video. Now let's take a look at a columnar-based report. Incident list in this case. Now it should be noted that with the exception of forms-based reports, every report that you'll see in this video was created using the tools that are available to you as a user. We're now looking at the incident list columnar report. Now let's take a look at a chart. We'll take a look at the incidents by injury type chart. From here you can see the various incidents by injury type. Additionally, you can hover over one of these charts and you'll see that in this case there were 10 cuts. Further, if you were to click it, you'll see the actual incidents that made up all of those 10 in this particular chart. Simply by clicking on one, you can navigate to that incident. Going back to the reports, we can take a look at a gauge now. Now let's take a look at total loss days. And from this gauge we can see that we've had 55 total loss days. Now keep in mind, all gauges and charts that you've seen are completely customizable by you, the user, including the colors around the outside of this particular gauge. Finally, let's combine all of these things into what we call the composite reports. Simply put, a composite report allows you to place any report in the system onto one panel that you can then include in your dashboard, for instance. Now we've already seen one of these in the incident index, which was on the dashboard. You can see from here that we have 4 gauges and 2 charts placed on one composite panel. Let's take a look at one more. The Safety Training Analysis Composite Report. Now here we've combined 4 charts onto one composite that allows you to quickly and easily analyze the various incidents at your facility. Within each chart, you're still allowed to modify the look. For instance, if we'd rather have a bar chart here, we can. Likewise, we can still hover over one and get the detailed information. Now let's move on to the final section, Tools. Providing you have sufficient privileges, the Tools section is where you can modify user type, users, and your dashboard appearance. We'll take a look at the first, the dashboard appearance. From here you can move panels up or down or delete them. It's as easy as selecting it, moving it up, or moving it down. Once you're happy, all you have to do is click Save. It should be noted that if you ever want to go back to the default, you just highlight this and reset to default. Now let's take a look at user types. From here you can define the default panel look or the security privileges for a particular user type, in this case Corporate Manager. For every screen you can decide whether or not this user type can view, add, delete, or edit a record. Likewise with reports, you can decide whether or not they can view reports or have access to the report writer. Finally, once all these are set, you come to the users, and this is where user by user you decide what privileges they may have. You assign them to a user type, and you decide which records they can see, facility by facility or notebook by notebook. In this case, Jim Johnson has access to everything. This concludes the demonstration of the software. Thank you for joining us for this video. For more information and additional videos, please go to www.raptorincident.com.